Yeah. Why would he try to do that? I mean, seriously, that's what I.
Well, I guess, it's me and Johnny. Johnny's the owner.
Y'all ready to
I
get
guess
started?
he just thought we were oblivious,
We got Vicky online. All right. Let me know when we're ready. Okay, we'll go ahead and call to order this Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, regular meeting on December 5th at 2 p.m., 2023. Stephanie, why don't we go ahead and do a roll call?
Commissioner Baugh,
Here.
Commissioner Byers,
Here.
Commissioner Hall,
Here.
Commissioner McElina,
Here.
Commissioner Richardson,
Here.
Commissioner Rigsby,
I'm here.
Commissioner Williams,
We see you on there, Vicky. You are on mute.
Here.
Thanks.
also
Thank you.
present is
Sorry.
Stephanie and Christy and Samantha for the Community Development Department. You do have a quorum.
Okay, great. Thanks, Stephanie. At this time, I'll ask any of the commission members to declare any conflicts of interest that they might have with the cases that we are seeing today.
Got none.
Seeing none, we'll move on to the next agenda item, certification of compliance with Resolution 2023-01. Stephanie?
I do certify that the meeting and properties were posted in compliance with 2023-01 and 5440 of the municipal code.
Great, thank you. All right, let's move to number 3, approval of the agenda. We have an agenda set up for us today, 2 items, one in new business, the other one in our quasi judicial public hearing. Any amendments or changes to the agenda today?
No.
Okay?
I move that we approve the agenda for December 5th, 2023.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll go to a roll call vote on approval of the agenda.
Commissioner Baugh,
Aye.
Commissioner Byers,
Aye.
Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner McElina,
Aye.
Commissioner Richardson,
Aye.
Commissioner Rigsby,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
motion carries.
Thank you. All right, we have the agenda for today. The next item on said agenda would be approval of the meeting minutes from our last regular meeting on November 7th, 2023. Those should have been provided to the commissioners ahead of time. Were there any corrections to the meeting minutes or discussion items?
Mr. Chairman, I asked staff to include me in. I was here. Best I recall. Anyway.
Okay. Yeah, they didn't even include you in at all. All right.
Don't feel the love.
You okay, Rick? Feeling a little invisible over there, are you?
One of your questions made it, though. On page
Swore I saw
3, the ghost of you asked a question about the timeline, or the building permits, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other changes besides the one outlined? Okay.
Chairman Rigsby, I move to approve the minutes of our last meeting in November 2nd, 2023, sorry. Stuck in the past.
Okay. So just to restate the motion as changed, right?
As changed, yes, sorry.
Second.
Okay. Motion to
As noted.
approve the meeting minutes with a second with the changes of including Commissioner Baugh. Any discussion on that item?
We get a second?
Yeah, second from
I'll second.
Commissioner
I'll
Richardson.
second.
You got the second. No discussion, we'll move to roll call vote.
Commissioner Baugh,
Aye.
Commissioner Byers,
Aye.
Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner McElina,
Aye.
Commissioner Richardson,
Aye.
Commissioner Rigsby,
Aye,
Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
carries.
excellent. And Stephanie, do you want me to go ahead and sign this even with, or do you want me to wait on the changes? All right, let's go to public input. I don't believe we have anybody from the public today that isn't going to comment on one of our agenda items, but we'll open this time up for any public comment. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close public comment unless there's any objections from the commission. All right, let's move on to new business. Today, we're going to discuss possible calendar meeting dates for this commission in 2024. Can't believe we're already at this point in time. The Development Department provided some suggested dates, keeping with the same cadence we've had in 2023, which is the first Tuesday of the month throughout. It's outlined as stated in the resolution for public meetings that you see on page 12 of our packet. Any comments from the commission on that? The one question I have, so the July 2nd is a Tuesday. Okay, never mind.
No, I don't see anything wrong with that.
No, because if it was observing
I don't see any holidays.
4th days, yeah, the 4th of July, but no.
July 4th. I won't be able to make that on the 2nd, I know now, because we'll be on our traditional family meeting in July on the 4th.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Commissioner Williams, for the input. Any recommended changes, or should we adopt as is?
Adopt.
Okay, is that a motion?
That's a motion.
Okay, so Commissioner Richardson votes, move to adopt the resolution as is with the second
Yeah,
from Commissioner.
sorry about that. Very impromptu.
No, all good. Why don't we go to a roll call vote?
Commissioner Ball,
Aye.
Commissioner Byers,
Aye.
Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner McLean,
Aye.
Commissioner Richardson,
Aye.
Commissioner Rigsby,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
motion carries.
Great. Guess I didn't need to sign that one. Okay. That is all of the new business we have today. We can move to our quasi judicial public hearing. We have one on the calendar today. I believe we have a representative of the applicant here with us to talk about this requested variance. Sir, if you don't mind coming up to the front. And then Sam, will you give us an overview of this request?
Thank you. We have Nathan Fox here representing the applicant. They are requesting to encroach 10 feet into the rear yard setback to construct a new single-family residence at 111 East Riverside Drive, Lot 7, Block 1 of the McDaniel Heights subdivision.
Great, thank you. And sir, if you don't mind, raise your hand, say you'll tell the truth and nothing but the truth.
Yes, sir, I will.
Okay, thank you. And then if you'll make sure that mic, just so that way we can pick you up. Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's green.
Perfect, that's exactly right. So sir, you're representing the applicant today. What can you tell us a little bit more about this requested variance?
Okay, so this is planned to be a primary residence for the person requesting the variance. And we originally did the survey on this property and did a topo survey of the property, which we take natural ground shots in a grid pattern. And then the architect takes our survey and designs the house based on the topography, the contours. And in this case, the architect recommended placement of the house based on slope. There's also a old boulder field that isn't shown on the survey. But if we weren't going to move the house 10 feet into the back, 20-foot setback, then they would be building right on top of that boulder field. And plus, they would be adding about 10 to 12 feet of height to the stem wall for the front of the house, and it's a single-story residence. And applicant also does own Lot 6, which would provide access to Lot 7. So there's really not a possibility that Lot 6 would be built on. The owner north of Lot 7, which used to be Lots 8 and 9 of this subdivision, that at one time was combined into Lot 9A. They actually did write a letter of support for the project. I have copies of this if you guys need or want that.
Yeah, it is past the date that we usually accept public input, but we can file it into the record,
And
right?
it's
So-
dated October 21st.
It was never submitted for the record. He just brought a copy of what he obtained.
Okay, sounds good. Okay. Any other items, sir?
No, I don't think so. I do have the original deed for this particular property. The ownership for the original deed was a little bit different. But originally, they actually stated in the original deed, no structure shall be erected within 10 feet from the external boundary lines of said lots. And that's part of the basis of, I think, the decision between the architect, the builder, and the client, was this original what they call a vesting deed, original deed for that property. I do have copies of that too, if you guys need or want that information.
Okay.
That's just a private agreement between the developer and the landowner that we wouldn't consider. Can you describe the hardship for needing to construct a residence 10 feet further as opposed to shrinking the square
So
footage?
one
of the
of,
home?
one of the hardships is that there's a boulder field, and we're talking, if you guys have ever been up in that far up in Upper Canyon, and they're, who knows how ancient they are, but really big boulders. In this case, they're mostly buried on kind of the southern two-thirds of that lot. So one of the hardships is that the builder, there's really no opportunity to construct footings into boulders, for one. The other thing is that the slope, the contours of the lot, they're a little bit gentler whenever you get onto the northern and western portion of the lot. And it makes it easier to build, honestly. And so that's why the architect, in conjunction with the client and the builder, chose that location for siting the house.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And if you'll stay put, at this time, we open it up for public input if anybody wants to comment to or against this. Seeing that there's nobody online and nobody else here, we'll go ahead and close public input.
There were no written informations received either.
Okay.
By email or written.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Stephanie. Sorry, I missed that one. So at this time now, we'll open it up for questions from the commission.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Richardson, yes, sir.
Mr. Fox, what, on the proposed resident, when I'm looking at this site plan, what is that structure that's gonna be into that 10 foot?
That's actually the garage.
So what would keep the architect from just redrawing that and moving that 10 feet back toward the face of the house? And we wouldn't be here today.
Well, part of the reason they didn't do that is because the boulder field is there, and the other thing is the slope of the property. And-
I'm just talking about just the garage itself.
Right.
That boulder field goes, is it curved that far and go up to the garage?
Yeah, it takes kind of a natural oxbow slope of the original
Yeah.
bed of the Ruidoso River.
The slope is not that great because I'm looking at the topography.
It's not huge.
No, not on that garage part. I'm just wondering why, 10 foot, I understand the whole house if you wanted to try to stay away from the boulder field, but
Right,
just the garage, if he could redraw that, there wouldn't be an encroachment.
yeah. Yeah, I suppose they could.
I mean,
And I
that way-
can't comment on,
It would stick
No.
out the same as that other out on the backside of the residence.
right. I do know that they did talk about moving the northern edge of the garage to meet kind of an extended living area that's part of that proposed residence.
On the north side of the house.
But in that case, they would move the entire structure 10 feet within that back 25 or 20-foot setback.
Yeah, I was just wondering if they could just kind of reconfigure that garage and move it forward, move it back to the south a little bit.
Yeah, and that would really be a question for the architect really to answer, I
Yeah.
suppose.
Too bad he's not here to answer that.
Yeah, because I mean, the topography doesn't look any worse if you move it, slide it down
No,
10 feet to the south.
One,
And it's
two.
just a garage, it's not a living structure.
Right, and that 20-foot access that's shown that crosses Lot 6, that's an old, to me, it looks like it's an old two-track road that it hasn't been used in decades, I'm sure. It was probably way back when people used to camp up there and whatnot. But anyway, that 20-foot access is, it's there because that's the opportunity for access that makes the most sense. And it allows you to drive into the garage.
Right. Yeah, you're only looking like 3 foot of drop there from where it's at now to 10 foot. 10 foot back to the south. Looks like 3 foot of drop. If I'm reading it right there.
Yeah, it could be. I suppose if you were to move that garage further south, you're going to have to do something with that 20-foot access.
Well, yeah, if he owns lot 6, he
But
could.
you said
They-
they own
can do
lot
whatever.
6.
They do own Lot 6,
it's
but what I'm
irrelevant.
saying is that 20-foot access that exists there, it's in a natural profile on that lot that makes the most sense.
You know, if you look at contours.
We know this is a mountain and sometimes you have to make your new access.
Oh, yeah, no,
You-
and it
you've seen
happens,
it, we've all seen
it happens all
It's
over.
just money.
Yeah, we do site plans all
Sure.
over the place up here.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of challenges.
Yeah, there's no flat spots here unless you make it yourself.
Not many, not many for sure. And I don't know what the budget is for the whole project, but obviously when somebody has an opportunity to try to save money for construction of the house, then they're probably going to do so. 'Cause we're, from the architect, we're talking about 10 to 12 feet difference by keeping it within the 20-foot setback as opposed to moving it 10 feet north into the back setback
Yeah.
for the stem walls on the front.
I was just trying to see if he could just move just the garage instead of the whole house, since that's really the only thing that's encroaching at this point. Just in case the neighbor behind decides to sell and the next guy doesn't like it 10 foot from his property line, you know.
And there's all kinds of infractions up in Upper Canyon.
Oh, yeah.
We survey up here all over the place, and, I mean, it is what it is. There's a lot of this whole community that was built before there was an organized structure in place, and
That's what we're here for now.
I absolutely, you guys deal with this on a regular basis, I know that.
It's a monthly thing.
Even if they own lot 6 now, correct?
They do, yes, sir.
What you're showing there, is that a road that they're using that cuts across it? Or-
Yeah, it's a old two-track road that hasn't been used in a long, long time. And so we surveyed both of these lots, and we surveyed that old two-track and then made a 20-foot wide, basically easement for access that would access Lot 7. So I honestly can't comment, but I don't see Lot 6 selling individually and anybody building on it because of the dedicated access that's sole purpose is to access Lot 7. Because if you were to build you could build a driveway, you know, if a person just owned Lot 7 alone, but you're gonna be looking at some pretty substantial cuts. Plus, there's a boulder field that, I mean, that would be a massive issue for anybody to deal with, trying to, I mean, some of these boulders, I'm sure if you were to dig them out, they're the size of a house. They're huge.
Commissioners, other questions?
Yeah, like I said, to Josh's point, I don't see why you can't slide that garage 10 feet. I mean, there's no reason you couldn't do that. The
What's-
topography looks similar.
What's the
Elevation.
distance between the front of the garage and then the proposed covered deck? Does it say on your plans?
I've got the same copy that
Yeah,
you do.
yours is a
so-
little bit bigger, though.
Yeah, no, it's bigger, and you're more than welcome to, you guys, if you want to look at this
Yeah,
one,
well-
absolutely.
The only thought that I had on that, turning around, if you're trying to turn around, it might be more difficult if the garage is further down. But I can't comment on that necessarily.
That's their property in lot 6. They could always do a little more elevation change there and make a driveway.
It's not a difficult.
I do know just from visiting with the client too, that, and they've got a neighbor on the east side that they highly groom their property and whatnot, which, I mean, that's their property, they can do what they want, but I think the client is more inclined to try to leave this property and these lots as natural, I guess, as they can. And anytime you start talking about big cuts and things like this for driveways and things, then you're gonna really drastically alter the natural slope and whatnot of the lots.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at that access road, and it's already coming up on the steeper topography to get to the level. I mean, it'd be nice to see the topo for Lot 6, but I don't see any problem where if you just change that, you don't have to enter it where it does there. If it entered another 10 feet up, you're still going to have to build up that slope anyway. I don't see, I said, I don't see why that's a conundrum for the applicant. I mean, because the topography looks the same. You're going to have to build up a steep driveway anyway. And if you gravel it, it's going to come down in the rain. If you pave it, that's about your
Right.
best way of keeping it stable, so.
Sure. I think the best thing I could comment on there, actually having been on the lot quite a bit, surveying it and whatnot, is that old two-track road has been there for a long, long time, and it's never washed out. There's never been an issue with it.
Well, and if you move the garage, you're closer to where that two-track road goes across the line.
And
That's your
Sure,
driveway.
but I think the intention is if that 20-foot access, there's gonna be a turn as it enters Lot 7, so that they can turn headed north and then pull into the garage.
And if you move the garage, you pull straight into the garage. If the garage moves.
I don't know, maybe they don't want to pull in that side of the garage. Those are issues I can't personally get into.
Well, I'm just looking at you're wanting a variance where there's a solution to it, that they just have to be a little more creative in how they solve that.
Yeah, that's sure. I mean, there's a solution to any problem if money and things are no
It
object.
just takes money.
Exactly.
I know.
Money's not our concern.
And I think we have to just take the plans as is and the proposal as is, for the variance as is, not necessarily propose
A change for them.
alternatives, even though the last time we did propose an alternative.
So it looks like you're only talking about from the northern edge to the front of the garage, like 30 feet. Is that right?
Yeah, I'd have to look at the contours again, but that could be accurate for sure.
And then it doesn't show on this topo drawing, but I'm assuming, and that'll get you in trouble, but that there's gonna be windows on that, what would be the west side? Is that correct?
Yes, there's a box out on the garage, and that would be for the view across Lot 6 back to the west, back up towards the reservation.
There's gotta be some. That was the only thing, if they slid it up, I was thinking.
Looks like that's a window off of the garage, like that, if that's.
Commissioner Ball, is the question if that's a window on the side of the west side of that garage?
Well, that looks like it, but I didn't know where that cut-in was at. Is that a door? I don't know.
Right there right next to where it says Lot 7. I assume that's the front door. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Hard to see with this.
Can't see it on this plan either.
And Sam, question for you all. You didn't recommend them to replat these as one lot for the access?
No, because that wasn't their request, but Nathan's familiar on replats, so.
Yeah, we do replats and whatnot. In this case, this is just the direction they decided to go based on survey costs and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Sam, I got a question on clarity. I know on the plat it says Lot 6 and 7. Is that what we're showing here on the GIS maps of 109 and 111?
Yeah.
Just to be sure.
It's
Yes.
different.
Yeah, those are the same, okay.
Here in the village, we address vacant lots even,
Okay.
the 109.
That was when I was, if they replatted and made that one lot,
That's
they can scoot it around a little bit and still achieve their goals.
Change the
Having more direct access with the old roads.
just change the orientation a slight bit.
You just
Rotate it about
Rotate
45,
it.
about 45 degrees, and you can keep it there in that same general area and probably have a shorter driveway as well.
adds more value to the house with the larger lot.
Yeah, and we did discuss some various options and whatnot, but I'm not in a position or capacity to, tell somebody what they're gonna do with their property or not do with it. And
Certainly.
they're aware that we can replat and things, and that's just not a direction they wanted to go based on whatever their reasons are. I just know it's gonna be a primary residence, and the architect placed it based on the topography that we provided to him in conjunction with meeting with it's a local contractor too. I mean, he's familiar with building up here.
Did you also topo Lot 6 or just the Lot 7?
I'd have to look in our records. I don't know, well, we would have topoed part of Lot 6 for sure because of where the access was, just so we could see what the contours are. But I'd have to go look at what we call job files and,
Yeah, I understand.
and look at that.
From what I'm hearing, hardships are based on, or variance based on hardship, and there seems to be alternatives that could be exercised with either replatting or repositioning, and therefore, hardship is not necessarily concrete. It is, if there were no other options, if they didn't own Lot 6, if they,
Replat.
What's that, Commissioner Williams?
Well, I mean, if they do own Lot 6, they can replat, and then there's no need for a variance either. So there's a lot of options here available, I think. But that's not ours to say. Just,
Just based on what's presented, I
That's
agree,
right.
Commissioner, but I don't see a hardship.
Okay.
that's my point.
Based on the
is there are
information.
options that
Yeah,
Hardship is a private suffering. There's no private suffering here, it's just they don't want to spend the money to move anything, what I'm saying, what I'm hearing.
Is there a motion? Or any other questions for the representative of the applicant?
Chairman, I'd make a motion, we table this item and give the applicant the opportunity to go back and take in consideration of possible replating and/or sliding the garage, as the other commissioners discussed.
Okay.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? Motion and second? So this will just keep the item open until our next meeting, and they can come back
You can
with.
come back, talk.
Okay,
to them.
yeah.
Way you're gonna cut off.
Yeah,
Is it
that's, yeah, I appreciate
Give
that.
you
So
6 months
what I
on-
can do is I'll get with architect and the client and the builder and just discuss,
Yeah, what
you
was-
know, the comments and whatnot here and see if there's a
I
solution
think it's
to.
seeing if you do slide it over and turn it a little bit, you're getting up out of the stem wall height and moving off the rock barrier, which is gonna be more economical for the plat.
Yeah.
Now, at some point in the future, you can't sell that lot, of course, because they're gonna replat it, but I think with the road that they're gonna use, they're kind of trapped on that one anyway.
That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Personal opinion of it too, is that, you know, lot 6 just exists for access.
To seven.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
it just adds to the,
Well,
I guess,
we
the
didn't know
aesthetics
that
or
till we
whatever of the
asked
property.
today that the status of lot 6, so I think Commissioner
Right.
Watts.
We do have a motion, so we do need to, unless there's other discussion by the commission, rather than questions for the applicant. But we do have a motion and a second, so we'll need to vote on that. Stephanie, why don't we go ahead and do a roll call?
Commissioner Ball,
Aye.
Commissioner Byers,
Aye.
Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner McElina,
Aye.
Commissioner Richardson,
Aye.
Commissioner Rigsby,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Motion carries. This will be reset on January 2nd.
Great. Thank you for coming in today.
Thanks for coming in.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Appreciate you guys.
All right. The next agenda item that we have, that's the end of our quasi judicial hearing. Since we have ended relatively early for all those items today, and we haven't had like a full community development report, would love to have your thoughts, Sam, or any report you'd like to give the commission.
Sure. So the Community Development Department is fully staffed now. I'll just go through this report and give you up to date as of today. The Meacham Corridor MRA plan is going for adoption on December the 12th in front of the governing body. With that, we have implemented all of the recommendations from the public, actual stakeholders along Meacham, you all, and the governing body. They weighed in November. And so all of that's been added. There's a resolution and a public hearing is the last step per state statute. And so once that's adopted, we'll be able to utilize some of the tools that it allows government to get involved with, like public-private partnership, investments in infrastructure improvements to attract development, just anything to revitalize that Meacham corridor, and most importantly, housing. It'll give us additional points on our 9% tax credit application that's going to be submitted in January for the 72 units of apartments there just south of PNM. So it'll give us additional points there that we're looking for. After that, we have just an update on what y'all approved in October, but you know that our Workforce Housing Advisory Board is actually scheduled to meet next Thursday. They're going under a strategic planning process to identify what the vision of that board is moving forward and any goals that they'd like to set. And so that we can take during the budget session, the request for resources to achieve those goals. So a lot of times they like to have housing fairs, other types of community outreach and education opportunities for people.
Sorry, Sam. Sir, you're more than welcome to stick around for the report, or you can step on out.
I
Yeah,
think you
sorry, I
should
should have
stay.
told you that. Sorry. I appreciate it. We aren't going to keep you hostage here, so.
Would you like some tiramisu?
Yeah. Yeah, do you need some dessert? Thank you. Thanks, Ron, for pointing that out. Sorry, Sam.
It's in the
Didn't mean
break
to
room.
cut you
He
off.
is a village employee, so I think you're
okay.
allowed in the break room.
Yeah.
So, don't run off.
It's really interesting.
Yes.
It is, it's interesting for sure. No, I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
I hope that's
Thank you,
enough
sir.
time for you
Yeah.
to maybe.
Another month.
Yeah, I think so, yeah, I believe so.
It's better than the 6 months if we would have voted
Yeah.
no on the
Yeah.
variance, 'cause, yeah.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. So they'll be going into that next Thursday. We have the entire day set aside for that, so we can kind of regroup and refocus that board. Readdressing update, right now they've provided what they think is the current state of our addressing and issues and their recommendations to roll out this project. They're waiting for staff review, and then we have a meeting next Wednesday. Don't tell me this yeah, staff has a few hours to review it. So we're gonna meet tomorrow to talk about the strategic plan moving forward with that one. We probably aren't going to make any big moves with that outside of just the department until early summer, I would anticipate, because it's broke out into 3 phases, and that's based on budget. Right now, we have a grant, and so they'll do enough work to be able to fulfill the amount of funding we have now, and then also during the budget cycle, we'll ask for the next phase of money that we need. And GIS mapping update. Stephanie finished that with the update from Lincoln County, provided her a parcel map that didn't overlay very well with our existing map, and so she had to go parcel by parcel and adjust all of the lot lines to overlay, and that was quite the task, but she's finished now. Short-term rentals, we're creeping up to 1,500 as of today of permitted short-term rental properties. Christy mailed out a stack of short-term rental compliance letters that people that are renting without permits. This morning, actually, we sat through a demonstration for a new software called Rentalscapes, and they're thinking that we should be closer to 1,900 short-term rental properties that are permitted in the community. And so with that information and the different tools that they were able to offer us, I think we might be moving towards transitioning to Rentalscapes from what we're currently using.
Question, that you've got the 1,400 active and the 3,000 internet listings. Is the difference between, why are those?
The listings are, like, say you own a property and you list it on VRBO, Airbnb, Flipkey, Bookings. That's why we have multiple.
Oh, so it'd be 4 for 1. Okay, so it wasn't like there's a gap of 1,600 on.
I think she's saying there's a gap of potentially 400 right now that we aren't tracking.
Yeah, they think we're missing about 400 properties that should be permitted and paying lodger's tax.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, and Sam, this might be calling myself out, because I think I had an action item.
I have
meeting that
made
was,
mention.
But that was in the summer? Is
Yeah,
that when we
yeah.
voted? And since that was an action, was there any, did we present that to Village? Do I need to email Ron to get that on there?
I can remind him, but I did share that information with them.
Okay, and was there any action by the Village?
It has
the
not made it
council.
onto the agenda, no.
Okay,
Also, at the last meeting, I know we asked that if we could get a report of possible calls or complaints from,
Yeah, so for the November manager's report, Christy, what was your finding? She spoke with the dispatch office.
Katie, it would be easier for Katie if she had an actual address because of the amount of calls that come in.
okay?
That's not stated during the call that it's a short-term rental. They don't keep track of what houses are short-term rentals. They go by addresses. So for her to be able to find that information, I'd have to provide her specific addresses for her to pull that. And with there being, over 1,400 of them, that would be a lot of individual properties for her to have to go through to see if there was calls for those addresses.
is there not a transcript of the calls? Don't they track like, hey, this call happened at this property?
Yeah.
They do, but it's by address, not by short-term rental for.
Can't you just do a
think-
VLOOKUP against address?
There isn't like a query where you could put short-term rental. I think the officer in their report isn't notating like, oh, I responded to a noise violation and this is a short-term rental. I think that that's the issue. But if Christy said, can you look up 111 Cliff Drive? And then she would say, here are all the calls for 111 Cliff Drive. And so she would then say, okay, this is a permitted short-term rental.
Right,
So it doesn't work in reverse. Like, we would have to give her the address and then she would look it up. And so for her to do that monthly for each one will be
within the system, you can't do a data export of the addresses that were filed by the
Dispatch.
dispatch.
She could do like an export of all her calls in the community, and then she would have to sort it one by one.
You can do a lookup.
But I don't think we could gain access to all those.
Yeah, that's the question of the access. If we can get access to the data, I know that it is.
Yeah, if you could get it.
Commissioner Rigsby,
You can
Yeah,
get it.
Commissioner Williams.
would it be possible then for the dispatcher to automatically ask any caller, are you in a short-term rental? And then simply mark another check on the list of name, address, check, short-term rental. Can she not ask that and then it'd be processed at the end?
I
Would
think
make it
the,
much easier, I think, to keep track of.
I think the issue with that would be if I'm calling from my house about a different address for a noise violation, I don't necessarily know the status of
Know
that.
that it's a short-term rental.
Correct,
That's
yeah.
right.
You should,
You
though.
should.
You should, yeah, you should get a notice that tells you, but we don't.
I know from personal experience, if I've had,
Right.
yeah, I know there's short-term rentals.
But maybe not
because you get-
everybody
The
knows it
village provides everybody
Yeah.
with their,
with the
you know,
short-term
the
rental.
information about.
This new
Yes,
soft,
ma'am.
So let's say I'm visiting and Stephanie's visiting. She's in one short-term rental, I'm in another short-term rental.
Yeah.
He happens to be in a short-term rental. And let's say I'm making a lot of noise. If you two were to call in, you don't live here. You don't know if this house is a short-term rental. That would be the problem. Because there are short-term rentals that are next door to each other. So if you have two visitors and they call in, they're not going to know.
I still think that even without that as an item, if the dispatch would give us the addresses of all the calls, you could do a query against the list of addresses that we have on file for short-term rentals.
Oh, yeah, it's not that hard, you just need a.
An
list of
Excel
all the
spreadsheet,
rentals
me,
you have,
30
an Excel
minutes.
spreadsheet, and, yeah, you
That'd be
can do
your
it 2
question for your
minutes.
new program.
Yeah,
Is the information?
it won't be
exportable?
tied to dispatch though. But our
You could export it out of it.
dispatch calls, call logs,
Yeah, because if you've got the call log and you have the address from dispatch, you've got the call and the address.
Yeah.
That's all you need. Then from the short-term rental end, you just have to be able to bring that into a similar spreadsheet and just to be able to do a lookup of what you've got for your short-term rentals and find out how many are in this list over here.
yeah.
Excel does that
Easily.
easily.
She'd have to sort it by property every single month.
But no, you wouldn't, you just
There's a
need the
query,
data,
right.
and then you just have a query function that'll just cross-reference, it'll do that automatically. You just gotta make sure your database for what is a short-term rental.
It's up to date
Is up
monthly.
to date, and you just have to keep that up to date, and then you're always comparing against that based on the dispatch stuff.
and I
There's
personally
definitely a way
think
to
that's
do it.
information the city council really needs to look at if they're gonna start discussing about
Yeah,
rules, regulations, bylaws or whatever for short-term
I would
rentals.
agree.
Because a lot of other towns are dealing with this,
Yeah.
and they're up against the same thing.
Well, our ordinance, if they have so many violations, we pull their permit, so that's how we track the ones that are repeat offenders. And so it's kind of handled in that manner on an individual case as opposed to tracking it monthly.
That
keeping
threshold
our
is
own.
pretty high, though.
yeah, because unless they're cited,
Yeah,
the officer responds, it
Oh, yeah.
doesn't count against them, so.
yeah, because,
There's
so
also
they can
that.
be called on multiple times, but if they're never cited, just say, go up and go, hey, hold it down kind of thing, and but,
We do see that also.
yeah, your threshold, like I say, is pretty high.
Yeah, but unless a citation's issued, a lot of times it's not in the call card if they just go, so.
Are these
So-
the list of the 14 that we propose, or what is it? Sorry.
That is a list of inspections that have been completed by the inspectors in the
Gotcha.
department.
Okay. So not
The
related.
governing body was looking for that.
Okay.
The short-term rental new platform, though, has a really cool feature because right now we send out letters annually to everyone within 200 feet of the registered short-term rental with an emergency contact and a phone number. The new platform has just an online link that anybody in the village can go to. They can click on any address that has a short-term rental and it'll pop up the name and emergency contact. So I think that'll be a lot more user-friendly for people.
Will the new software help make this other map the uncertain compliance standard? Is that to get that where we don't know what they really are? Is that gonna help get that into, we know what they are, we know the short-term rentals or not?
Yes, it has a little bit more. They're a smaller company, and so they said they scrub the internet daily, and then they have a different way of breaking out the different types of properties. So I think that it is a better solution for us. It has some features in there we could dig into for auditing purposes. It has calendars that we're able to track and see when the property was rented and compare it to what they're self-certifying their lodger's tax remittance. So that'll be a good tool for us as well.
So how do we know when they are rented and when they're not rented?
We don't really. We just get on the 25th of each month, so-and-so will remit $11,000. And so this, they actually ask them, what was your gross? And then how many nights was your property rented this month? And then we can go back and compare it to the calendars that are provided from them scrubbing all of the different rental platforms.
So
Wow.
we gotta figure out a better way to keep the honest.
Yeah,
say
and
that's
that's what hopefully the new software will do.
Yeah, the honor system is not very honorable anymore. We all know that.
Oh, yeah.
Let's say,
Oh, it's frustrating.
I'm sure I'm gonna be lowballing here, but they're reporting about 60%.
Wow.
So when you look at the lodger's tax receivables, you're short 40%, you know good and well. Oh honey, I forgot. Did you do it? No, I didn't do it.
Yeah,
And
cash.
then the ones that book on multiple platforms, who knows if they're actually tracking it? And so that's an issue we've come into with VRBO and Airbnb. We're entered into voluntary collection agreements, so we'll get like a $30,000 check from Airbnb. And it doesn't give us a breakout of which properties they're remitting on. It's just those that only rented with Airbnb.
Well, the new software could help with that, right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, not necessarily, like I've rented in the Texas Hill Country, have the owner or the manager of the house say, come to me, don't contact
Right.
Airbnb or VRBO anymore,
Yeah.
contact me.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of.
For a
that.
discount.
Commission just
Yeah.
because they saved the owner of the house
Right.
a lot of money.
Yeah, because I remember it said the house I'm in now, before I bought it, that's what they did. They had their own private rental group of people that would rent it. And you weren't gonna get any, and that was before short-term rentals came into place, but that's how they do it. And I know that's how it still goes on in a few places where that's exactly what you're saying is going on.
Listings on Facebook, those aren't scrubbed, and so there's so many challenges out there. And this new software hopefully will free up some of the smaller tasks that Christy does and allow her to get more into the detail
Yeah.
of things, so.
Well, anything to move forward, because yeah, like you say, there's money. It's what funds the village is the lodger's tax. That's part of it, so.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm sure the 87,000 IRS agents will get into that too. so.
Careful, Bill, careful.
You bet.
I'm telling you, that's a gold mine of revenue.
There's a method to the madness.
Armed too.
So,
Thank you, Sam.
moving on to the building permit side,
Yeah.
we have still our chief building official, Dave Myers, and he's been working hard to get these permits out. We have one inspector, he's certified for mechanical, and he's testing next week for plumbing. So we'll have that discipline covered. And then we still have one inspector that's kind of lagging that needs to get certified. But he's doing a lot of the business inspections and short-term rentals, and we've got him busy closing out expired permits as well. And the admin aide in the department, she's working on that. Any open building permit that hasn't called in an inspection within the last 180 days, we're going to start sending closed notices to them that their permit's no longer active, so. That's gonna
probably
be
me.
interesting. Yeah, so forewarning,
Progress in the last 180
they're going
days.
out.
Well, I'm really proud of
See what I got going on.
Oh, me too. And then,
Paradise, had the old truck and the old
Oh, yeah.
68 Chevy. Did you buy that truck, Josh?
Which
The
one?
Orange. Their truck there on Paradise that.
No, I did
They
not.
built the fence and then tore the fence.
He came by the other day and asked me if I wanted to buy it. I'm like, no, I don't need that. I know where it's
The
at.
cab's worth a lot of money.
Yeah, but I don't need any more misery. I've got enough.
So that's another function that's not in here. We're helping Bobby Simpson with his nuisance abatement properties, and that one is almost complete. We've got tall grass, weeds, and pine needles that need to be raked, but other than that, it's almost in compliance. So he's done a great job with that, and Stephanie's helping with case management to move these along, and we're just trying to support him however we can. And I think that he finally has some movement on that tall pink building next to Domino's. The owner came in the other day for a vacant building permit just to secure the roof, and he's going to be listing the property soon, so that'll be nice.
Good.
Bye-bye.
So stand
you.
for any questions you guys might have.
I have a question with regards to Swiss Chalet. What's the situation on that? I mean, that thing's been sitting there in limbo for,
They don't have an open building permit on the, I guess, south side of the building where
Yeah.
they were gonna do long-term, nothing. They have an open building permit though for the kitchen, so they're gonna have a new pizza spot in town here soon. But,
that's interesting.
yeah, Billy Roach is renovating that kitchen.
And that used to be the Incredible next to the lake. I don't think that's even village property though, is it?
It's county, but they have an open permit too to rebuild. And we actually, I think it's the same owners, they're looking to build, and they've already gotten development standards to construct a new restaurant there where that Piney Pod is below Swiss Chalet. They want to build a new restaurant there.
Ordinance changes that we made or suggested to council, you said that was still ongoing. Have they,
January 18th, I think. I'll have to look at the
Okay.
calendar. But yeah, they didn't have any dates that worked for them or Site Southwest this month, and so in January, they're gonna review
okay,
all of those changes. I think they have a full day set aside and see how far we get.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And other than that, I hope you'll join us Thursday for the mixer.
Yeah.
Should be a good time. 6 o'clock at the convention center.
Convention Center, okay. 5:36, something like that.
6, I believe.
Is it 6?
Yeah. Let's see what, yeah, that's what I have in my calendar at least.
If the needle in my eye doesn't hurt too bad, I'll be there.
Sounds good.
Great. Anything else for Sam? Thanks, Sam.
Yeah, thank you all.
We'll go to the final agenda item, comments from commissioners. Anything to say? Thank you, guys. This is the last meeting of the year for us. And thank you, Commissioner Williams, Vicky, for dialing in. It's been, it feels like we've met longer this year than last year. And I appreciate everybody sticking it out for all those ordinance changes. So hopefully we won't have to do that in 2024, I mean. So yeah, I hope to see you all on Thursday, I guess is the last comment that I'll make. And
will be
I
in
assume
Albuquerque.
everybody would be good to continue on in 2024. If not, please let us
it may
know, come
change
talk to us. Okay,
Depends.
all right.
You stay here.
Meeting adjourned.
I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? We'll do a roll call vote to close.
Aye.
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 Aye. Thank you,
I would
Vicky.
say aye, but I can't hear who's asking who. Somebody's not on their microphone's off.
No, all good. Thank you, Vicky. We got your affirmative
Good, I'm
vote.
aye. Let's leave.
Will we see you on Thursday?
No, I'll be in Albuquerque. I'm afraid I'm going back and forth again.
Okay, no problem. Well, we'll see you. Have a happy holiday.
Oh, see.
Thank you. You as well, all of you guys.
Yep.